'tis the season for outdoor entertainment, and that's really what I want to focus on here. And yeah, please, look forward to answering any questions at the end, as Chris had said there. So, it really starts with, so again, my name's Tony Blodgett. And to properly introduce myself here, I'm Tony Blodgett with Seura, the regional sales manager, and based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, where our factory is, and that's where everything's rolling these days. Been trucking through since the COVID-19 situation hit, and I hope you all have had the opportunity to do so as well. I know it's totally different times in this world, but it's interesting how it's translated to the industry in general. I hear from a lot of folks who are actually very optimistic. At first, it was just doom and gloom, but then as things went on, they realized that, hey, folks are at home now, and so they're investing in their home. So that specifically relates to the outdoor season as well, where I will say that what we would have seen, and this is shared by other outdoor vendors, manufacturers I talk to as well, but what we would have started to see around April 1st probably got shifted back a good month and a half to mid-May. But then what happened, what was interesting is, and that's kind of worrisome because it's very much a bell curve. And as you move from east to west, that bell curve is earlier in the year. Typically Memorial Day on the East Coast is almost kind of this, like, that's your peak time. If you don't have it by Memorial Day, that's when 50% of what should be going is done. But that whole curve is shifted. So the third week of May, things spiked hard as far as, in good terms, when we're talking about those things these days, in terms of outdoor AV, the sales, the installs, all that, folks coming to a new reality, things opening up a little bit more and allowing for that. So what we're seeing, though, instead of that bell curve, what everyone is anticipating is really a nice high plateau. So where Memorial Day might be kind of a key time frame for the East Coast, and 4th of July for Central, and call it Labor Day, honestly, for the West. It's sort of how it shakes out sometimes. That's going to be more of a plateau that's going to transition into the fall. Folks aren't traveling. They're not taking their vacations as they expected. And what's really going to be real, and we're really going to see that, is when they're not going to sporting events, they're not going to the football games. So that's when folks are really investing in their homes. And specifically, it's been a phenomenal summer, at least here in Green Bay, and I trust not too far away where you guys are as well. It's going to be a really strong season. It's just that we're really just at the beginning of it. So it's a really interesting year in terms of that, and trying to maximize folks' stay-at-home experience with outdoor AV. So the real key to it, though, really starts with the how. And that's what I'm going to go through, is the how, why, and the what for Seura Outdoor TVs. But this translates to not just outdoor TVs, but outdoor AV in general, outdoor audio, lighting, everything, right? So when you're looking at the outdoor space, there's really two ways you can go. You can ask someone, do you want a TV outside? Well, what they're hearing, because they don't know the solutions exist, they're hearing, oh, do I want to take an indoor TV and stick it in that covered area over there? Well, I don't even spend time there. So yeah, I mean, best of luck even trying to sell me an indoor TV in that space, much less investing in outdoor TV. Same with speakers, right? Hey, do you want speakers outside? They're just picturing a couple speakers underneath the soffit. The opportunity lies in asking the question, how and where do you spend your time outside? When you're asking that question, you're removing product expectations. You're now having an experiential conversation, consultative sales process that brings them potentially out by the pool. They might say 90% of my time is spent by the pool. How can I possibly get an outdoor TV in that space? They didn't even think to ask. But then you say, you know what, there are solutions. We have video solutions, audio solutions for that experience, for where you're spending your time out there. They didn't know. So by asking that question, now you're bringing that environment where they spend their time, when they're investing their resources for that specific area. So that brings me to the UltraBright outdoor TV. So this is a little bit of the why the Seura UltraBright, right? This provides you the flexibility for a video solution that can be installed in those fully exposed direct sun environments. So what's key with the UltraBright is not just that it's ultra bright. Yeah, it's designed for performance in the sun, but it's also sun-proof. And this is exclusive technology for a TV category that, so the UltraBright, Seura UltraBrights go up to 86. And we're the only modernized outdoor TV with solutions up to 86 that are sun-proof. Right? You're going to see a lot of talk of nit levels and brightness and all that. You know, an indoor TV can get extremely bright these days. But if you put that indoor TV in the sun, it will fry. If you put an intro-level outdoor TV in the sun, it will fry unless it's an UltraBright, because the Seura UltraBrights have our active heating and cooling elements that make up our extreme temperature protection. So I just want to stress that it's not about the brightness that allows it to be sun-proof. So this is a four-wheel drive Ferrari, built for performance, but built to be installed in the sun. You see this TV, it has a unique reflective side panel on it. That's because that TV is about 3.7 deep, and then we want to minimize that perceived standoff. The reason for that depth is because it's housing active heating and cooling elements in it. You also see it here with the soundbar. That soundbar is optional with the UltraBright. Quite often you're going into bigger spaces where you're maybe using a different audio system, maybe a landscape style system for the audio, but we do have an optional soundbar. So that brings me to the Shade Series outdoor TVs. So Shade Series TVs, this is when it's like, no, it is, you know, in a shaded application. I don't need the UltraBright. Again, the UltraBright, that's in a pass-fail application, right? You need that if it's getting direct sun. The Shade Series TV, this is going to be your best-in-class affordable solution. So the leading competitor in this space would be like SunBright Veranda, and the Shade is going to be about $500 retail more. But why Shade TV? One, it's a Seura, so you're getting the highest quality design. Everything we do is about the perfect harmony of design and technology. Two, it's the brightest picture, so optimal performance for this application with, it's subjective, but feedback is a superior performing picture. And then two quantifiable reasons why the Shade TV. One, we're double the warranty at the Veranda. We have a full 2-year warranty for outdoor use. Infinitely higher warranty than an indoor TV. An indoor TV put outside, that's not warranted at all. Not certified for that application. But the Shade TV has a full 2-year outdoor warranty, as does our UltraBright. And then finally, this includes the soundbar. So that retail price point difference, well, we're including a quality soundbar with that solution. So it's really tremendous value overall. So again, starting with the how and where are you spending your time outside allows you to have full flexibility in the solutions that you're presenting. So Seura UltraBright outdoor TVs, this is for sunny applications, built for optimal performance with appropriate backlighting levels and our adaptive picture technology. What the adaptive picture technology does is it automatically and seamlessly over well over 100 different settings is adjusting that backlighting as you're transitioning through the day into the night, but it's also adjusting that contrast ratio. That way you have optimal color saturation. So again, optimal performance. And then it's sunproof technology with our extreme temperature protection. And this is what's so key. Note that even when that TV is off, as long as it's plugged in and the settings are set appropriately, that extreme temperature protection is going to work. It's going to regulate the temperature of the electronics, even if the TV's off. The key is where it's installed, not when you're watching it. So you might have clients just fine say, well, we're just watching it at night. Or, well, it's only sunny here from 10 to 2 in the afternoon. It's like, you need the UltraBright for that application. It's not about when you're watching it. It's about, is it getting direct sun, period. And then, hey, like we mentioned, with the state of the world these days, people are staying home and they get to go big with sizes up to 86. Again, if it is a shaded application, we call our Shade Outdoor TVs the Shade Outdoor TVs just to make sure folks are installing those in the correct applications. You know, this is a 4-wheel drive vehicle for outdoor use. It's their best affordable outdoor TV, now with price points starting at only $19.99 retail. And that's for our new 43-inch Shade Outdoor TV. So $19.99 retail for the 43, $24.99 retail for the 55. We also have 65 and 75, getting best design, picture quality, that full 2-year outdoor warranty, and it includes the soundbar. So shade and UltraBright, sizes on shade 43 up to 75. UltraBright 55, 65, 86. Certainly quite the price gap. I get it, but it's because of the elements that are in the UltraBright that allow it to be sunproof. You know, it's going to have, you know, some more robust integration capabilities, things like that. So the UltraBright, like I said, best way to describe it, 4-wheel drive Ferrari. Shade TV, that's your outdoor 4-wheel drive vehicle for a TV. Obviously an indoor TV, hey, you can have a high performance sports car, but you're not taking that thing off road, right? As far as availability goes, the Shade 1 55, so last year we had Shade 1s throughout the season. Shade 1 55 still available today. Order today, you'll have it tomorrow. Or today, you know, potentially. So I know Capital has them in stock. So, and then as far as the UltraBrights, 55, 65, 86, those are typically special order from Capital. So order it today and you do ship them from Green Bay. So pretty short turnaround. And then the 43 shade TVs, those are available today. And then 55, 65, 75s are expected to come this month. The 55s will, you know, somewhat to be determined based on the Shade 1 55 sell-through. But the 65 Shade 2, it's my understanding those will actually be shipping this week. And then the 75s, I believe, next week. So yeah, we're pretty close to having that full transition to the Shade 2. So the differences between Shade 1 and Shade 2, no difference on the price points there. Price cost, you know, across the board, good to go. So that gives you full confidence, you know, to transition projects. Maybe if you're transitioning the new one or you need it today and go with the 55 Shade 1, no problem. As far as the key differences go, I think design. So if you're familiar with the design in the Shade 1, you'll see that the Shade 2, hey, it's a Seura, so we're always up in the ante on design. Very, very thin bezel profile, very clean design. Some performance upgrades, it's new technology, but I haven't had any complaint on the performances with the Shade 1. I think one of the most noticeable differences that you would see between the two would be integration options. So Shade 1 had dedicated IP control, and it had an IR, you know, port on the front, but to use IP control or IR control, you'd have to, you know, manually put an emitter on the front. Whereas the Shade 2 has built-in IP, RS-232, and IR. So seamless control options across the board there. And those are really going to be the main differences you're going to see. Shade 2, just in general, just a solid product from a design, manufacturing, QC standpoint, just a solid product. So as far as resources go, if you ever need print materials, let us know. You know, if you ever need price sheets, you know, Capital can get you that info. And then most of what you need, 95% of what you're going to need is going to be at our website. It's going to be right at the website where you can access all the product info. I'm going to go through our outdoor comparison chart as well. That's a really cool tool. So as far as marketing efforts go, you know, we're trying to drive awareness, especially with the 43 shade being a new size, help drive that awareness and drive demand. And then social media is always a key marketing platform. If you ever have any install images, any posts that we can share and tag you guys, please let us know. So going through the full outdoor TV lineup, well, this isn't nearly the full, right? There's lots out there, but when it comes to the leading brands, this is what we're seeing. So really 4 categories of TVs that get installed outside. Not all these TVs are outdoor TVs, but namely the indoor TVs in this chart. More than 50% of TVs being sold outside are an indoor TV, right? We want to get away from that. This is a product that's not designed for that space. I mean, this has been a summer that's been hot and humid. I mean, frankly, it's been a great relief from last year. I'm in a hockey rink all year, or all winter, so it's nice to just be outside and be warm. An indoor TV is not built for that. The panel degrades, not warranted for that use. So out of the box, it can look great, but it's It's not what you want to put in that space for long-term customer satisfaction. They may say, put it there and I'll just replace it when it breaks, or I'll put it in the winter. You know, that's inconvenient. It's a hassle. Murphy's Law dictates it's going to fail when you don't want it to. So that's where the shade conditioned TVs are just a tremendous volume mover, great value and affordability there. So we know that when SunBright, SunBright Snap AV launched Veranda, they did that to compete with indoor TVs outside. Try to create, weatherized kind of intro-level indoor panel to compete with an indoor TV that was rated for outside. So it really cannibalized a lot of the signature sales. We know that. We saw that. We used to have our Storm TVs in that in-between category, but we no longer have that. We have our Shade Series TVs, best in class for the shade condition, and then we have our UltraBrights, which is going to be your flexible solution if it's getting sun. So that's where it's really interesting that Samsung has now entered the outdoor TV market, but they entered it in that tweener category. Why that's interesting is, again, we know how Veranda cannibalized Signature. We know how Shade Series TV, was going to be a solution instead of Storm, because when we had Storm, folks again would try to, like I mentioned, you don't want to justify putting a TV not designed for direct sun in the direct sun just because you're only watching it at night. So the Terrace, which doesn't have the active heating and cooling elements, it could be 5,000 nits brightness. In fact, that would be worse, because the higher the nit level, the higher the wattage you have pumping to those LED backlighting elements, which means the hotter the TV gets without an extreme temperature protection system to cool the electronics. So the great thing with Samsung being there, they're going to drive a lot of awareness to dedicated outdoor TVs. Remember, end users don't know these solutions exist. The way they really learn about all the solutions is by asking that question, how and where are you spending your time outside? To be able to discuss the right solution for that application. Certainly these, the in-between solutions like the Terrace, Signature, they're going to be probably high performing TVs for a shaded application, but we know when it comes to that shaded application, now you're typically selling against an indoor TV quite often. So folks are looking for value, affordability. So on the one end, you have the Shade Series TV at $1,000 less than the Terrace. If you factor in the cost of Samsung Soundbar for that, you're $2,200 less. You could invest in a 55-inch and a 43-inch shade TV and still come out ahead from what that would be with the Terrace. And you're providing, again, it's a value proposition relative to the thought to put an indoor TV in that space. So Shade Series TVs are a winner for that shaded application. And then again, if you're going in the sunny conditions, if it's getting exposed to that, now you have the confidence with the extreme temperature protection of the UltraBright, and with sizes that go up to 86. Excuse me. So you'll see IP ratings across the board on these. IP 54, 55, 56. What the 50 stands for is the dust protection. So that first 5 is dust. They're all dust protected. And they're all weatherproof. Only the UltraBright, and then SunBright has their Pro. I'm not sure where that's at these days. Haven't heard much of it for quite a while, but those are sunproof. The UltraBright's sunproof. But they're all dustproof. They're all rainproof, right? They're all 54, 55, 56. The 456 in that IP rating, that second digit stands for the level of water pressure that can be applied to it. At the end of the day, though, you really don't want to spray down these TVs with a hose. Hose water is groundwater. Groundwater is hard water. So when that hard water would dry on the TV, you're going to have mineralization. So the best thing to do is invest in a dust cover for the TVs to protect it from dust and birds. Because when it rains, now, rain leaves dust behind, but it's soft water. And then if you do need to clean the TV, clean it with a TV screen or a screen cleaner. Clean with a TV cleaner. That's best practice. So, but just know what the IP ratings are. So when you look at, again, all those leading solutions, why Seura within the outdoor TV category? The UltraBright's giving you, that optimal performance with appropriate backlighting levels for any lighting condition, and the adaptive picture technology, so you have the optimal color saturation. Sunproof technology with the extreme temperature protection. It can be installed anywhere, regardless of when you might be using it. Leave it up year round. That's one thing to stress. First two questions with outdoor TVs always seems to be, can it get rained on, and can I leave it outside? Yep, you can leave it outside year round. And then go big and stay home. Again, sizes up to 86. And those 86s, 22,000 retail, they sell every day. It's great. Shade Outdoor TVs. Again, here you're getting best-in-class affordability with $19.99 retail price points for the 43. And then, up from there, best design, picture, full 2-year outdoor warranty, and that all includes the soundbar. One common question will be, do I need to use the soundbar? No, you don't need to use the soundbar. It comes with it, but you can repurpose it if needed. So I should have mentioned that probably right away. I know that's always a common question, but. So here's the Shade 2 spec sheet. I'm not going to go through the details because frankly I can't read them. It's too small. But I just bring this up to say, at the end of the day, when you're doing your install and integration, please reference the latest spec sheet that we'd have available to you, just to make sure everything's syncing up with your specific application, how you plan to integrate that TV. So you notice a 3-prong outlet in that waterproof compartment. That's because the Shade 2 soundbar is powered. The Shade 1 soundbar was passive, or is passive, but the Shade 1 TV had a built-in amplifier. The Shade 2 TV soundbar is powered, but the Shade 2 TV has a built-in outlet to power it. So from an integration standpoint, it's pretty synonymous between the two. Shade 1 soundbar, certainly some improvements, newer technology. One unique design feature is the way the TV is designed and the brackets. You can mount that soundbar above or below the TV. It's most common on the bottom, but we do give you that flexibility. When you mount it above, the TV can sit a little tighter to the wall. But and again, the soundbar comes with it just to provide that full value TV audio solution all in one, but you can repurpose it if needed. As far as other optional accessories go, our mounts, we have a full motion articulating mount, tilt mount. We have a slim mount that's static mount that sits nice and tight to the wall. These are outdoor rated mounts. You don't need to use our mounts, but they are there as an optional accessory. The covers are optional, but I definitely recommend them. You put a cover on a grill and stuff. Let's put a cover on our outdoor TV, just again to keep it clean from dust and birds. So not necessary, but a recommended accessory. And then the soundbar. The soundbar is optional with the UltraBright, but included with the Shade TVs. Optional TVs. So again, to recap, why Seura Outdoor TVs? You've got optimal performance with the UltraBright for any lighting application, including direct sun. It is sunproof technology. This is what really truly makes it unique, with sizes up to 86. And then for those shaded applications, you have a tremendous solution that's affordable with the Shade TV, $19.99 retail for the 43. Best design, picture, full 2-year outdoor warranty, and includes a soundbar. And it all starts with the right questions, right? How and where are you spending your time outside? And just a tremendous opportunity to really go big with outdoor AV. So with that, I will entertain any questions that we might have.
Thanks, Tony. We do have some questions already rolling through at the Q&A window. So the first one is, can you explain the marine grade, weatherproof, IP rating, etc.? Yep,
and I went through that. I'm not sure if that answered, but again, the IP ratings are going to be just based on, they're all dust protected, and it really just comes down to the amount of water pressure. So they're all going to be rated for natural water, rain, things like that. It's just a matter of, are you planning to use a pressure hose on this thing or not? And that's where you want to pay attention to that. So. Question on the warranty. Is it advanced replacements? Ultimately, you'd contact so the way that process goes, I appreciate you bringing that up, is you'd contact our tech support team. So honestly, best practice is shoot an email, techsupport@seura.com. That's tech support at Seura.com, or you can call our offices, 920-857-9069. I'm not sure how that phone system is to get to them, but so anyway, work it out with our tech support team at first, or you can shoot me an email, shoot your capital team an email, and they'll run it through. But they'll first kind of troubleshoot the problem or what's going on there as far as that potential warranty situation. Advanced replacement might be the solution. I know they do that quite often. It just kind of depends on the situation. So I know advanced replacement is, yeah, more and more common, just to make lives easier. But be sure, like, honestly, don't just take the TV and return it to capital necessarily before we have an RGA logged, a case in RGA in our system, so that it's a nice clean swap. So contact us first to help diagnose and prescribe a remedy. Question: if a shade TV is in direct sunlight for 2 to 4 hours per day during summer, should a protective cover be used when it's not being used? Well, it's not really the cover. The cover's not going to shield it from the sun. It can be subjective, right? So it's really about the temperature. And in fact, the cover potentially might absorb more sun and actually insulate the TV. If it's a shade TV and you're getting 2 to 4 hours a day of direct sun, I wouldn't put it in that application. At the end of the day, that's where an UltraBright should go. And I've seen it happen enough with our storm TVs that did not have the active heating and cooling elements, where over time the electronics will degrade. They'll eventually fry. And that's going to be the case with any of those TVs that do not have the active heating and cooling elements. Now, if you asked, well, it's getting sun from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You're probably going to be okay. I mean, it can be subjective. It's really about the temperature. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 90-degree weather is going to be way different than if it's 60 to 70 degrees in that space. So it's just a matter of if it is getting direct sun for extended periods of time, yeah, that's somewhat subjective. You have to look at the temperature. Direct sun for 2 hours from 2 to 4 in the afternoon is totally different than direct sun from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I get that. So some of it can be subjective, but at the end of the day, try to keep it simple and say we have full competency. UltraBright's the solution for this. As far as the question on smart, so the TVs, yeah, they're not smart TVs. At the end of the day, that's just a whole nother level of support and engineering that we know that there are aftermarket devices that a lot of folks are using anyway. So those TVs are designed, you can put in a Roku or Fire Stick, right into those TVs. So that's how you'd make it smart. No back boxes for brackets. No. I mean, the TV's gonna install just like any other TV. So I'm gonna say, if there's other solutions out there, and there certainly are other outdoor mount solutions that might meet your expectations for what you need, that's no problem. The shade one is optical and analog audio outputs. So question on shade one. How can I use the analog output to feed a Sonos and still allow using the soundbar? So this is something we can probably take offline just because you want to review the specs, just to make sure that the expectations from the shade 1 and shade 2 soundbars, they are different. The inputs are going to be different. I know I cruised over that slide, but I would take that question offline, just so we can make sure that we're reviewing the specific inputs and how it's going to sync with that soundbar. So can we get a copy of the presentation? So
I can answer that. Yes, we will be. We did record the presentation. It will actually be going on the Capital Sales YouTube channel, and we will also, if you want an actual copy of the PowerPoint, reach out to your account manager. Just give us a couple days at Capital to get all the documentation ready for you.
Good deal. All right. And Chris, if you need a PDF of it or whatever, that's no problem too, just for reference. So.
Yes, that'd be great.
I'll send you that, the outdoor comparison chart. Those are good tools. Let's see here. Where do you go on your website for the flyers and or social media marketing materials? Okay, so at Seura.com, you go anywhere at Seura.com and then scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see dealer resources. So when you go on dealer resources there, you're going to see a lot of phenomenal tools from standard shop drawings, spec sheets, marketing assets where you can download a high-res marketing kit. So go to Seura.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, go to dealer resources. That's where you'll find those resources, both sales, marketing, integration support. So. Chris, I don't know if you want to open that.
What's that?
Eric's got a question about his mic.
Yeah, you would have to do that since you're the host.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can.
Under attendees.
There it is. Gotcha. All right, bear with me, Eric. Allowed to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. I can hear you now.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. Good job, guys. A couple of quick questions. And some of them you kind of, I put some on there in a text, but I want to be clear on what advanced replacement means and how that gets implemented.
Sure. So if we do advanced replacement, and it can depend on the time frame of the install, the situation. We ultimately call our tech support, work that out. They're going to issue an RGA number. If it's just a clean swap and we're shipping it back and forth, we'll ship you out the advanced replacement, and then you'd probably use the box that comes in to package the TV that we need to take back, and then we call that back. So.
Okay. What's the time frame? How long do you offer that for?
It's offered for an extended period. I want to say within 30 days, like it's new for new. And then once you get further with the time frames, if it's been installed for a while, then we might use a Seura certified unit, which isn't like brand new, but it's been something that's been cleaned up, polished, and is effectively going to look and operate as new.
That's reasonable. And how long of a period is that? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, and I don't want to put you against the wall, but I'm trying to understand clearly from my clients, if they move into their new house, we put this outside, and if it's a month, 2 months, 3 months later, what's the time frame before it becomes send it back for repair?
It's a relatively new process, and so right now I don't have the details on the time frames as far as when that's done.
Okay.
As far as I know, it was for sure 30 days with the full advanced replacement, where it's just pretty much no questions, new TV. And then beyond that, whether it's 60, 90 days, I've seen it extended. So, they always try to take the situation into, consideration. Like if you've had it for 90 days, but you've just installed it, those are definitely things that we want, that are important, because ultimately ordering it through Capital, what we see is when it's shipped to them. So we want to take into consideration when they actually invoiced it to you, and then when you invoice it to your customer and had it installed.
Well, it's not so much invoice when it gets installed is what we're always concerned about.
Well, yeah, and we want to take that into consideration. So it's just those time frames can be, I would say, variable in that situation where we just have visibility from when it's shipped out to us. So that's why we have to have that discussion with our team.
Okay, so maybe you guys can do a little bit more homework on that and have clarity. This way we can manage expectations in the field. Secondly, back boxes. I mentioned back boxes in my chat. Every TV we install has a back box. We have Valens behind it, sometimes room solution boxes, different things. I don't know if you guys are considering having a back box, especially with the articulating arm, but it would make our lives easier as integrators.
Okay. Yeah, great point.
It's not a big deal, right? Some bent metal with a box, have it set up. You could probably buy someone else's and put your sticker on it. But that's something that we use as best practice every day.
Okay.
Next was, I did ask some questions about IP ratings, and you kind of went over it very briefly, but what is the IP rating on the Shade, and what is the IP rating on the UltraBright?
The IP rating on the Shade 1 is 54. The IP rating on the Shade 2 is 56. This means it can handle a little bit more water pressure, but like I said, you really don't want to spray them with the hose because you don't want groundwater to, or you don't want that hard water to dry on it. The UltraBright is going to be 54. Part of that is because the UltraBright is not a sealed unit. As long as it's installed vertically, you are, in landscape orientation, and the orientation it's intended, it's fully weatherproof, right? But because that has an active heating and cooling system, there's actually vents, for airflow. Those vents are protected by a dual filtration system. So there's like a paper HEPA filter to filter out fine dust particles, and then there's a heavy-duty fibrous filter that's going to filter out your insects and all that from that TV. But so that TV, the UltraBrights right now have that IP54 rating, with the Shade 1's IP54 and the Shade 2's IP56.
And is that best in class for outdoor TVs, or is anyone doing anything different?
I don't know if there's, from most of the residential grade leading outdoor TVs, that's what you're going to see: IP54, 55, or 56.
Okay. Is this suitable for use on a yacht?
Many are installed on yachts, so short answer is yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I understand the IP portion of this. I hear that thrown around quite a bit. And oceanfront properties or on a yacht, if we're suitable for that, that's going to be good enough for any home I'm doing. I didn't know if 54 was something that's really geared for that, or if we had to have a higher rating. Is there a standard for something on a yacht that's exposed?
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen a concern on that. I don't know if you're expecting, crashing waves on it. I don't know, maybe more.
No, I'm thinking more just salt air. On oceanfront homes, the joke is you can almost see the hardware rust on the outside of the house when you're sitting outside. So I just want to make sure that that's thought about.
Yeah, and the IP ratings really don't address salty air at all. So it's, the best you can say to that is, with the salty air, this is how I would probably qualify that. Although I don't have a lot of empirical evidence, once in a while you'll see something in really salty air that maybe didn't quite have the longevity, but it's also relative to what is your other option for that, right? And you might be able to find some commercial grade panels that are truly designed for that, but now you might be sacrificing video quality, because quite often commercial grade panels are really just like monitors and digital signage. So I would set the expectation that it's very salty air, and so you're not necessarily going to get the lifespan as if this thing was installed inside, but it is your solution relative to this application.
You think the cover helps with the salt?
Certainly. Yeah,
Okay.
that I would think it would. Just because I know salty air, it's almost. Yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely use a cover. That way it's not drying onto the components.
Got it. And now one last question. I've heard the term tropicalized come up. Are you familiar with that term?
Or isotropic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So isotropic blackout, if this is what you're referring to, that's when, so if you take a TV that's not temperature regulated, like the UltraBright, so you take the Shade TV, or whatnot, you put it in direct sun, that TV is going to suffer isotropic blackout. What happens is, and just do it with your phone once, right? Take your smartphone and put it in the hot sun, and try turning that thing on. One, it's either going to just overheat and totally shut down, but a lot of times what will happen is that screen will really dim. And so I've seen it with TVs where the TV itself this is when we were testing probably competitive models back in the day, but the TV itself actually goes black. You might still see a halo of the backlighting around the TV, but the image goes black and you can still hear it, and it'll come back when it cools down, but it's certainly not good for it. So the LCD crystals, within that TV, they are overheating and they turn black. So that's isotropic blackout. That's why it's so important to regulate the temperature of the electronics.
Got it. So anything that's going to be in direct sunlight's got to be the higher brightness model, just for the cooling properties.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great point that you bring up. Is even though it's higher brightness, that's really to allow for performance, but it's the cooling elements and the heating elements. In the winter. Hey, I'll go outside and cut wood when it's 10 below here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and that's what allows it to live in those applications.
Awesome. All right, that's all my questions. I'm done pestering you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right.
Very good.
There's some other questions here. What is mineralization when spraying down the TV with the hose? What adverse effects does this have? So the mineralization, so that's, take hard water. I've seen it. It's like, imagine having to try to clean your TV off with CLR, right? So you spray that thing down with the hose. You got that hard groundwater on there. When that water dries, the minerals, the elements in the hard water end up remaining as residue, which is a lot different to clean off than dust. So like I said, you get that, and chances are CLR is your best bet to try to clean it off, but it's probably no man's land after that. So. I was thinking using light colored cover, but I didn't install this TV. I took over either. Sorry, just reading the question. I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but so as far as light colored cover,
I think he's talking about heat in a shade series.
What's that now?
I think he's talking about heat in a shade series display.
Oh, because you'd put a black cover on it? Well, again, it shouldn't be exposed to direct sun anyway, so it's not going to absorb any more heat with that than otherwise. And you don't need the cover, and so when the TV's off, the screen is black as well. So light color versus dark light colored cover versus dark colored cover. I get that instinct. It's more about, at the end of the day, it's not impacting the long-term performance of the TV or the heat rating of the TV. And so a darker colored cover just honestly stays cleaner. So it looks better over time without impacting any function or long-term performance. Okay, so the degradation of the indoor TVs over time. So what happens there is, the TVs, the panel itself actually gets dimmer over time. We've seen that. I don't really know the science behind the why. I've seen it though, where, we've had folks, they might install an indoor TV in an outdoor space, and they're always watching it at night. And so they never notice it, right? Because something that may be rated for 900 nits out of the box eventually just never hits that nit level. It stresses the electronics. OLEDs are extremely susceptible to heat and humidity. Those definitely will not last nearly as long outside as your traditional backlit LED TVs. But where it really, so when we say an indoor TV outside might fail, it's not so much always that all of a sudden one day it won't turn on. Certainly that might be the case if some of the components have corroded. You might also get insects in the ports because it's not fully sealed. But what would happen is that the TV over time, it gets dimmer. It gets dimmer. The peak brightness no longer is there. So if you did want to watch it during the day, all of a sudden you notice, wow, this thing is totally washed out. I can't hardly see it. So, when the TV's off, does it affect the cosmetics of the TV? I've seen intro-level outdoor TVs, TVs not designed for the sun that's put in the sun that, over time does impact the TV dramatically when you look at it. So, Eric, you asked for who to call for more answers. You can give me a call or best shoot me an email. just so I can dig into that stuff for you and get you some of those details.
Perfect, will do.
Yep.
Hey, when you make that outdoor back box for the bracket, put a little weatherproof enclosure there for our balance or something, because we're gonna have to hide those things out of the weather too.
Okay. No, that's I know that the UltraBrights have built-in HD base T, so you wouldn't necessarily need to use a balun right in there as far as for the receiving end of it. But so we can chat more of those details. But I do appreciate that feedback. That's good. Our product management team would appreciate that. So that phone number you see there, that's my cell number, and then obviously that's my email. So can the UltraBright be installed in the sauna? That's a great question. I haven't had that question before. And I would say it really depends on what temperature that sauna is going to be. How hot is that TV going to be? Okay, so I'll put it this way, right? So the peak operating temperature of the UltraBright is 140 degrees. And certainly the air temp is never truly going to get to 140, but if you have 120 degree sun beating on that TV, chances are that TV is going to heat up while beyond 140 and it'll shut off. It's not going to kill it, but it'll turn itself off, right? You can leave these TVs in those environments short of an apocalyptic event, which it seems like we're in these days, but that's a different story. That has nothing to do with the weather, right? But so in a sauna, the concern there to me would be, are you cranking up the heat in that sauna to 160 or some crazy temp? And is there humidity involved with that as well? So it may stress it where it's just an environment that's not even anywhere close to natural. So it's subjective, but I don't get warm and fuzzies over doing that, I guess.
If it were my sauna, I think I would try to put it outside and just cut a contractor hole in the side and have the TV mounted outside and not have to run the risk of having 160 degree steam cooking my TV over the years.
Yeah, so like we have our Hydra indoor waterproof TVs, and it's a common question of, can you install those in saunas? And that's a good question where I say, well, yeah, as long as the TV, so that's a TV where the electronics are recessed into the wall, and then you have a tempered safety glass up front. It's a 19 or 27 inch size. It's apples to oranges to the outdoor TV, but still, the key there is, do the electronics know they're in a sauna? So if the electronics themselves are in an environment where it's just a normal temperature controlled environment, you're good to go. And I understand where you look at the UltraBright and say, well, aren't you regulating the temperature of the electronics with the active airflow system? But at the same time, that's a little different because it's actually taking the air from the environment and utilizing that to help cool the electronics. So if you're just circulating super hot, humid air, that's not going to be as effective as if it was in a normal outdoor application. Is anyone using these TVs in a video wall application, like putting 4 55 TVs together? It's been broached, it's been asked. If you are going to do it, the shade TVs, especially the shade 2s, because of their thin bezel profiles, are probably going to be your best solution. So that's something you can look at. Just know that you're going to need to look at the bezel profile. I think the bezel width of the shade 2s is it 8 or 9 millimeters? I want to say it was about 8 or 9 millimeter bezel width. So you'd obviously have to double that. The thing with the shade TVs, with them all being sealed, you can have them like tied up against each other. Whereas with the UltraBrights, you need at least some minimal space for airflow. We've had folks again attempt those installations. I just don't think with the UltraBright, with that bezel being probably close to 1 inch, then you're doubling that. I don't think it looks as good with the UltraBrights, but in theory you could do it with the shade TV. Did I see correctly that Seura TVs have a media bay where HDMI kits? Yes, so both the UltraBrights and the shade TVs have a waterproof compartment. Just check the dimensions of them to know what components you can put in those spaces. So the UltraBright media compartment, that waterproof media compartment's a lot bigger than the shade TVs, but the shade TV waterproof compartment is designed to be able to put in most of your basic tools that you're going to put in there. Again, it's usually how you're going to end up making these a smart TV is by plugging something into one of the USB ports in there. So Anyway, a lot of good questions. Yeah, as far as the questions on the soundbar details and some of that integration, like I said, love to take that offline. Shoot me a line and we can dig into that. Just want to make sure I'm getting you accurate answers on that. So it's the Shade 2s. Hey, these are brand new, but if they aren't shipping today, they're shipping imminently across all sizes. The 43s are shipping now, 65s this week. But we got Shade 155s. We've got all the UltraBrights. So, and then, yeah, it's an application to have fun. Oh, and I like your comment here. Go Pack. Yeah, go Pack, go. So, I grew up a mile away from Minnesota in Hudson, Wisconsin, right on the St. Croix River there, and I grew up bleeding green and gold. So, it good fun, good times. So, oh, Wausau, there you go. There you go. So I'm in Green Bay now, though, and yeah, I can see Lambeau Field when I walk my dog up the hill in the morning. Kind of cool. But anyway, hey, really appreciate everyone's time, and please feel free to reach out if there's any other questions, anything we can do to help. Have fun with it. You know, just know the opportunities that are there. Obviously, there's details that we take care of, and we do have the tools there. And if you go to Seura.com, scroll all the way to the bottom to dealer resources, 95% of what you need is going to live there. And please feel free to reach out to me or your team at Capital Sales anytime you need something. So.
Perfect. Hey, thanks, Tony, for taking time as well. And thank everybody else, too, for taking time out of your busy days. I know we're getting a little busier now that COVID's doing its whole thing, but it's looking good. So, Tony, if you guys have any questions, like Tony said, please feel free to reach out to Tony or the guys at Seura or your account manager or myself at Capital. We're all here to help out and get you the answers and info you need.